Hey guys, so I'm Makenna Hartman. Just a few things about me. I'm the oldest of almost, soon to be 10. I haven't been in the Foundations or Essentials program, but I have siblings who are. I have gone through Challenge B, Challenge 1, and Challenge 2, and now I'm graduating, or I have graduated, and just got accepted to PCC, and that's where I'm heading this fall. So that's sort of where I am. I guess the biggest thing, the reason why I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to talk to the moms, the new moms, is, okay, you have the little ones and you can't really see, you don't have older ones. Some of you might have older ones and you can't see the younger ones. But I have actually seen all of it. I've seen my little 2-year-old sister singing the Timeline song, and I've seen my 10-year-old brother, actually 2 of them were memory masters, and then I have sisters in Challenge. And so a lot of people are like, okay, so I have these little ones, where am I going to go? How am I going to, like, is this Timeline song really going to help my my high schoolers? Yes, it will. It is amazing. I didn't have it, but I picked up from my little siblings. They're like 5 and they can sing like the Timeline song, and I can't. But I use what they have. And one example, me and my mom were talking about it yesterday, is for Latin. I've had 3 years of, well, sort of 4, but 3 for sure years of Latin in high school. And I know my teacher, Miss Curry, we're like in class, we're like singing, like little 2-year-olds, singing the Latin conjugation and noun declensions and everything that leads up. But my little siblings are actually learning that. And so that's really cool to see. Just, okay, they're learning this. They're learning Latin conjugations and declensions. And I am 18 using what they're learning. And so even though they might not understand Latin, they might not even understand English at this point. But they at least have that in their memory, and after however many times you repeat it, repetition over time equals mastery. And so I was able to actually see that. Not saying, I mean, I absolutely loved my CC years. I have done, I don't know if y'all are CC Moms Beginners or you've been up in the program, but I have done a Becca video school. I've done a Becca by myself. I've done Miss Met taught me for a year. I did 3 days a week. I don't even know. There's so many. I've done Trinitas. I've done everything. And CC has probably been the best 3 years of my entire life. It's just, I have never had such a desire to learn than in CC. And that might be me, that might not be your child, but if your child, I know last year when I spoke, one of the questions were, okay, my children doesn't have a desire to learn. That's one of the problems with homeschooling. You don't have that peer pressure. Oh, my friends are writing that paper. Yeah, I probably should write it too. It might not be the best paper, but at least you're going to write it. And so that's really cool to see, like, okay, being a homeschooler by myself, I had a bit of like, okay, I want to do this, but again, the desire, peer pressure is amazing. And I think that's one thing that homeschoolers lack. And so that's just a really cool thing to see, like my brothers, memory masters, probably, I didn't ever think that they would actually do it. But their siblings, or their peers and my siblings, they fed off of each other. And so that's really cool. I mean, again, that's one of the things we're missing in a homeschool education, and you have that. And you have someone other than you teaching your kids. And I'm not saying sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad, but it's not all the time. But at least it's a new face. It's something that's like, okay, hey, Miss Curry, can I ask you this question? Can I ask you this? And so that's really neat for me to see. There's again, best 3 years of my life. There's been so many growing moments. My first paper, I don't know if you're, again, y'all have all ages, but papers-wise, that was probably my biggest weakness. I could not, like, Miss Curry can testify, my first paper was terrible. I can say that. And my last paper was, I felt good about it. And so that has grown me. Sometimes you don't get all the papers done or you don't get everything done, but that's okay. One of the things in Challenge, since I was in Challenge 2 as a graduate, one of the younger students, she was just like, I can't do everything. Like, I can't do this. And I'm like, you know what? It's okay. You are in 10th grade. I'm in 12th. I do as much as I feel like it is good for me to do. You are not as old as me. You are in 10th grade. You do not have to worry about that. So you bring your child up in the way that he needs to go. And so you as a parent are able to say, okay, yeah, we can't do the paper right now, or we can't do that right now, which in life that happens. I'm the oldest of 10, soon to be 10, and I know that you just can't do it all. But I was able to say, okay, I'm in 12th grade, I have to do this. And so that's good, so you're able to do that. I'm going to ask people to ask some questions, but the one thing that my mom really wanted me to talk about was the whole thing of rhetoric. I know that's what y'all are talking today. Being able to come up with questions, argue your point, and firmly believe in what you're believing in. Right now, I mean, like, I got to talk to an atheist. I went to Alaska this summer for my graduation present, and we started a conversation. And Cece got me so prepared for that, because all in class, all we did was debate. Like, that's all we did. It was awesome, because that's something I really enjoy. And I had other peers to debate. I'm not debating my mom and dad. And so, I mean, I debate my dad all the time. But that was just something different for me to do. Right. So, and that was good for me. I've always loved debating. I've always enjoyed that. But being able to actually articulate a full, persuasive outline, paper, and perform in just I was sitting in a dining room with this guy, and we started, I don't actually know how the conversation started, but I don't know, I'm a people person, so I like talking to people, so I just sort of started a conversation. And my beliefs, again, are very firm, so firmly believe that abortion is wrong. I firmly believe that euthanasia is wrong. I firmly believe that there are so many things that we got to talk about. And I honestly didn't know this guy from that. Like, I had no idea who he was. So we started talking, and I think I started the conversation by how many children that I grew up with. Like, I have 8 under me. And so, of course, that's like, what are you talking, what? And so that always starts a great conversation. And they're like, okay, how many do you want? And of course I said, okay, however many God gives me. And of course he was like, no, that's not right. And so that was neat. I was like, okay, well, yes, this is why I believe. And there were so many arguments that I was able to just say just fluently. And so that, Cece has just prepared me so well. This year we did Plato and Socrates, how you perform. You have an argument by asking questions. You get that person to say what you want them to say by asking questions. And you do that in mock trial. Your students in Challenge B, that out of all CC, mock trial was probably my absolute favorite. It was time consuming, it was stressful, but we did it, and we won, but that's not but we did it. But we did it. 2 times. But that was just amazing. I was a expert witness. And so I was able to, we learned, if you have had a child in Challenge B, you do understand. But you have this witness document that you study. And you know that thing backwards and forwards. Like, I mean, it was amazing. And even my other peers, they were attorneys. And just knowing that code, what, like, 12-year-old knows how to do that? And so that is just amazing. And you are okay, I don't want to offend anyone, but homeschoolers are unsocialized. They can't talk to people very well. And I'm not saying that about everyone, but that's one of the things that you hear about, like, oh, you're homeschooled, you're talking to me? And so I get that a lot, like, you're not homeschooled, there's no way. But being able to, we had a real judge. We had someone who, saw this all day. And we're performing in front of him. And this is our first time ever doing this, and it was just neat. And just we were nervous as all get out, it was crazy. But we did it, and we had jurors who were attorneys themselves. And so that was neat, and it was just perform a opening and closing, direct and cross examinations, and then the opening and closing statements, and you perform that, and you come up with it yourself. And we had this praise husband who was in attendance to help us. But that was amazing to be able to do that. But with this atheist, it was just neat to be able to use what I have learned. And we were in Alaska, so you don't get that a lot. We're in the Bible Belt. And so it was neat for me to be able to see, okay, wow, there are really people out there that are so lost. And we're sitting in Glacier Bay, and we see this beautiful scenery. And I'm just like, my presupposition is, wow, God is so amazing. And his is, wow, look at this thing that just happened by chance. And I was just blown away about his. I asked him, so how do you know this is created? He's like, oh, get this, I don't know. How do you argue that? And I'm like, I don't know. What are you talking about? But one of the things, it was like, okay, how do you not know? There's no way that you don't know this. And we talked about, one of the things was knowledge. I told him, okay, so if you have 1% of the knowledge of the universe, which that's a stretch, it's a very big stretch. 1% out of 100, you have that 1%. What about the 99% that you don't know? Could it contradict that 1%? Yes. And so, how can we know anything? And he basically admitted that he didn't know anything. And so that debate is pretty much over. So that's one of the things that we said. We're like, okay, how can you tell me you have a belief in something that you have no idea what it is? And so I just went through it, and he was talking about, his main point was, I am a moral atheist. He's like, no, you can't have morality without my Christian worldview.
Amen.
I have the morals. I have what it takes to be a good person. You do not. You're stealing. You're borrowing from my worldview. You can't do that. And again, going back to the percentage that we know, I know about. When I heard that, I was like, well, I'm the dumbest person ever. I don't know anything. How could I not? Really? That right there, you don't know anything. But we know a God who does know all of it. And so we are able to stand firm in what we believe, and he doesn't have that.
Amen.
And so that was really neat. CC has just brought me so far, and being able to be comfortable to talk to people, be able to just come up with arguments. And some of it I have been taught from Eric Hogan in that regard. But CC just has, again, given me the confidence to go up and talk to people. And it was just, my mom asked me, she's like, okay, so does that waiver, we talked to this guy for 4 hours. So there's a lot more than just that. But she asked me, why, does this shake your faith at all? I said, no. He just told me he has no hope. He has no idea where he's going. He's going to the ground. He's going to be dust when he dies. He has no legacy whatsoever. He has no children. And he knows nothing. How can you, why in the world would I want to be like that?
Amen.
And so that was a really cool thing for me to be able to, and hopefully it encourages you, if you have little ones, or even if you have people in kids in challenge, your little ones will be able to be, again, it's like, okay, we're learning this timeline for the third year, what are we going to do with this? But it is good. Repetition over years equals mastery. And you are able to, my brothers will have that forever. And that's something that I wish I would have had. But I didn't, and again, I'm very thankful for these 3 years that I did have at CC. So I'm going to open this up for questions. I think that conversations will get rolling. Questions. So does anyone have a question about transcripts, how I got to college, anything? Does anyone? Yeah. Eric Hogan. I did the Unshakable Faith course. Yes. So, any other? Say that again. So, I did my transcripts, and basically, I mean, there's some classes that I did that I couldn't put on there because we did so much. And so that was very encouraging to me. There's things that I was just like, I don't want to look like I did, like I'm making this up. And so that was really encouraging to me. Like, I only did 3 years. And there is so much crammed into 1 year. Like, challenge 1, Ms. Craig can testify, we did just incredible things. It was insane. It was just, I mean, we did a lot. But it was good to be able to, like, and again, you just have to have those credits. You have to have 24 credits. Math, you just have to have 3. Language, you have 3, and you're good with that because I did like Brit Lit, American literature, and stuff like that. But again, it's very simple just to write down what your child did. And there's a lot of electives that we do. I mean, there are 6 strands. And in those strands, there's probably 2 actual full subjects that we do. And debate, some years there's like 5. So, I'm not joking.
So was there ever any consideration to not going right at graduating at 18 and going right to college, keeping the challenge curriculum?
I mean, there is definitely temptation for doing that. I've actually done some of the books that are for challenge 4, because I just like that. But
Nerd.
I just enjoy the program so much. And again, I have done some of that this year. But I'm 18. I know that I was going to go to PCC, but the Challenge 4 and Challenge 3 program, I definitely would love to. But again, I'm like, okay, marriage is probably, hopefully, my future, and the college degree would be nice. So, other than that, I would have stayed.
I've tried to fail her.
Yeah, she Right. I don't think so. No.
Does what?
CC have a rule that you have to stop at 18.
Does CC have a rule you have to stop at 18?
Right. My dad told me, he's like, you're doing it wrong, and I said no. And that was just my decision. I was just like, okay, dual enrollment, you go and you basically attend college classes at a public college.
No, you're good.
I do not want that. The education that I received is so valuable and so rich compared to that dual enrollment. And I've had a lot of friends do dual enrollment. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that for me, I value what I learned. I mean, I was sort of like the slacker homeschooler up till probably 8th grade when I went to Miss Met's class. And it sort of just like set a fire. And it is so, I mean, like, I read, like last time I read 17 books. I loved it so much. And every book was just like, my siblings are like, yeah, you like every book. Stop telling me you like a book. It's just so good. You get to talk about it. You get to just ask your peers, okay, so what did you think about the book? Or what, one of the conversations we started, well, I don't know exactly. No, I shouldn't say this. But we started talking about whether virtue can be achieved by avoiding evil or actively seeking it. So that, right. So in challenge A, which I was not fortunate to do, and B and 1, you do a persuasive essay. And I'm sure that most of y'all know what that is. You have your exordium, your setting, your 3 proofs, and you then repeat your 3 proofs, and then you repeat the negative side of those 3 proofs, and then you repeat them again. Over doing that like 30 times is a bit crazy, but it was fun. I had it in my brain. I'm so glad I did it. This challenge 2, you have prompts. So that question was a prompt. One of our prompts for Pilgrim's Progress was, what character would you be? Come up with your own character of what you would be. And so that was a really neat one. We had an awesome time. And then you have Pride and Prejudice. It's like amazing. So we loved it. And Jane Eyre. And there's so many different things.
Do you mind sharing with them only for the purpose of
encouraging them if their child is 5, 6, 7, 8, and not necessarily striving. I don't want to say it, I'll let you say it. Where were you at 5, 6, 7?
I was not reading until 10. So I'm dyslexic, so I don't, and again, if your child is dyslexic, Einstein was dyslexic. It doesn't mean that, I'm not saying I'm Einstein, but
But explain to them how discouraged
so
I was.
I wasn't reading books, and then now at 17, I'm reading 17 books this summer. It's just, I never really enjoyed school. There was no reason for me to enjoy it. I didn't have that, push, you better finish this, you better do this. And again, that's homeschooling. That's why a couple years ago, I was like, I'm not homeschooling my children. I'm going to put my children in private school because I want them to have that peer pressure. I want them to have that, you have to finish that math. And I know math is a struggle over here, don't even lie. It's a struggle. You have to finish this. Miss Curry, I think last year, was do you have 4 math lessons done? She wasn't we were not going to get punished, but saying no was I don't want to say no. And so that was really good. At 10 and 12 and 13, it was just, you just do the basics. I succeeded. I graduated. I did okay, and I loved, again, that's why I loved the 3 years that I got. It just has prepared me so much to be able to defend my faith, and that hopefully is your ultimate goal. To have children that are able to defend their faith, be able to go up to anyone and say, okay, what do you believe and why? You can say you believe anything. Again, up there you have, that's a great quote, but it really is truly valuable. If you just have children that have your own faith, it's nothing. Unless they have their own faith and they can tell you why they believe in something, they will never truly believe it. And unless you teach them how to realize that they have to own it, and you teach them how to own it, they will never truly desire to further their faith. And that is the ultimate goal. It doesn't matter about transcripts. It doesn't matter about how you can write a persuasive essay. All that matters is that they can truly believe and have their own faith. I think that's one of the main things about a Christian family is, I know that's a thing that I struggled with, is okay, is my faith just my parents? If I lived in a Muslim country, would I be a Muslim? And that's one of the biggest things. Again, this atheist actually asked me that question. And I said no, because I am seeking truth. And there is no other truth than in Jesus Christ. And so again, CC, you are teaching, again, I say persuasive essays, we did millions of them. I'm able to go up to talk to somebody and come up, might say 3 things over and over again, but at least it will be driven into their head. Okay, this is why I believe this.
And it'll be parallel.
With an exordium, maybe, if I'm good. But even, you might be struggling. I know my little brother it's hard for him to read, and it's, of course, my mom is struggling okay, you should be reading. But every child, my sister was reading at 3. She hates reading now. I don't know how that happened, but I love reading now. Math, I guess, is there anything else you want me to say about that? Going back to, is there any other, okay, you had a question.
Latin. You get a very unique perspective, and you've had 3 years of Latin. And a lot of parents say, we're not going to do the Latin part.
It's a love-and-hate relationship.
It is a love and hate relationship. Probably well said.
So Latin.
Yes. She worked for her Latin. Latin is work.
It is.
It is, but there's victory at the end of the translated sentence.
I guess the full question there, the core of Latin, being able to see language in the parts of it, do you feel that helps you in sharing your testimony to be able to read the Bible and truly understand the parts because you have some of that Latin background?
Being able to go to different languages and actually understanding what they're talking about, the different tenses, the different moods, everything that you are able to, again, there is true satisfaction in being able to decline that sentence and being like, okay, I did it. And you, sweat and tears over that Latin. but you do it.
And you need to know that she got honors on the NLE last year.
Amen.
So, yeah, Latin is something that teaches discipline. And when we went to DC, there were tons of.
Oh, it was so cool. I was like, I know what that is. And so it's really neat to be able to do that. And for something, vocab. If you, even on the Iowa test, I was like, oh, I know what that is. Because I knew the actual word that it came from. And so that's really neat. I started Spanish maybe a couple years ago. I began it, and Latin definitely helped me a lot. Because it is a Romance language, it is the original language of those, and so you're able to be brought up. I don't know exactly in college what I'm going to do with that. They do have Latin CCC, so I might take that, but I'm not really wanting. I want
But
to
it helps you bring in other languages.
Right, it does help
And
you
following
with-
the system helps because it branches off of that
Right.
at all levels.
Yes,
Okay.
and Latin is integrated in all this. What's amazing about CC is that you see each strand, it overlaps into the other one. And of course, my tutor was like, if you can do that, we'll give you a ticket. And so that was like neat. Like, wait, this Latin is in math, or this Latin is in debate, or this. It was really cool to be able to see it just like, and your younger siblings, or your younger, they're siblings to me, your younger students. They were doing a history sentence, and I was learning the exact same thing, just in depth. And so that was really neat to be able to do that. And see that, like, wait, they're learning the history sentence, they might not know what's going on, but I do. And I'm learning it now, but if I had had that history sentence in my head, it would have helped me understand where it was in the timeline, where it was, that was definitely just like an eye-opener, like, okay, I'm doing this with my kids. And I know definitely I will, just because I've seen what it does. Any other questions?
I have a kind of a question. So besides all of this, McKenna's also, besides the volleyball MVP and her own business and just having the pleasure of, I like for my children to spend time with McKenna and talk with McKenna for lots of reasons. But also she shared going from a struggling student and things, but and the Latin, she had 3 years of Latin with no prep leading up to it. So I think there's a lot of people that don't feel like they can pull their child out of high school and put them in, and that, well, if we had done it when they were little, maybe we could switch over to classical. And I think there's a lot of there might be people here that kind of are proof, the proof is in the pudding type of people. And so I wanted to point out another thing, I can't remember the name of it, but like last year for Latin, you got took some tests.
The national Latin exam.
Yeah.
She,
Yeah, cum laude national Latin exam. Like, this works. It is in the pudding. And so just to encourage, if there's anyone here that is, I don't know if we can jump into this,
Right, and I did. The first challenge being the first semester was difficult because I had never. In Essentials, you get the foundation of writing those persuasive essays. The papers that my siblings come home with or do, or like 10th grade, I wasn't writing like that. But again, it is possible to be able to just take what you have, and go with it. And so. Foundations and Essentials is so valuable, but it is possible. I did it. So, and again, my siblings, some of them started in Challenge A, and then now the 2-year-old is going to be growing up in all of it. And so that's really neat to be able to see that. And even for you moms, I guarantee y'all learned stuff.
Amen.
So that's really neat. I was helping my brothers for Memory Masters, and I don't know what that country is, I don't know it, but now I do. So that was really neat, and again, I'm like, Mama, let me help them because I want to know.
And McKenna, how much do I help you with challenge?
Well, she helps me with my papers.
But you have to own it. I think when you're 17, 18, 15, 16, give them the books and have them figure it out. Our founding fathers did. If you're sitting there hand feeding them and babying them and telling them what their proofs should be, I just don't really think that's helping them.
It is so, again, my papers are my papers. moms. And I could see some papers were terrible. I wish I had help. But the last paper I have thrown in those mistakes. They were my mistakes, but I corrected them. And even your little ones. I mean, don't baby them. Don't bring them up to say, oh, that's a good, like, maybe help them a little bit, but don't, like, I don't know. I've seen that a lot. Homeschool moms sort of, like, want to, they're there. They only have a couple students. They're wanting to, like, help them. And that's
Do
great,
their science project for
but you need to let them make those mistakes, or they won't ever learn the right way. It won't be in their brain, like, okay, I can't do that again. Like, that was terrible because I made a fool of myself in front of my peers. Like, I can't do that again. But, yes.
Alright, one of the things, I love mock trial, but I really love the short stories that the students
Yeah.
come up with, so I'm just curious the title and a little synopsis of what your story was about.
My short story was about, and actually, I loved it so much. I wrote a couple short stories in Challenge 2, which was this year. Again, Challenge 2, Challenge 3, Challenge 4. I don't actually know about Canon Board. I think if you get like your own, you can choose what you write. But I know Challenge 2, you have the freedom to choose. So, and that was really cool. You do like comparison essays. But the short story, mine was about Washington's daughter and her slave. And they were trying to decide, something happened that tore their friendship apart. And she was leaving, but then Washington's daughter and Washington himself helped, I guess, brought her back. And again, it was a long time ago, but that was a...
What was the title?
Oh,
Do you remember? Sorry.
I don't remember. I was actually going to bring it and show everybody. I don't remember what it is.